Hey everyone, welcome to my channel and thank you for watching. Today I'm going to fill out the I-129F or Petition for Alien Fiancé for K1 visa. So the US petitioner is the one who will fill this out, or you or the beneficiary and the fiancé can both fill out this together. And you can use your computer or laptop. And let's get started. For part 1, information about you. Alien registration number. If you don't have that yet, you can just leave it blank. You can put NA, or you can also put none. For US CIS online account number, if you also don't have that, just put the same thing, NA. For US social security number, the petitioner has that, so he has to provide or put that in the box. So let's just put a random number here. For example, number 4, fiancé K1 visa, because we are applying for K1 visa. Number 5, you can just leave that blank because it's only asking if you're filing to classify your spouse as K3, or have you filed Form 130, just leave it blank. For the full name, this should be the full name of the petitioner or the US petitioner. So let's just put a random name here, for example. Okay, so for other names used, if you didn't use other names before, you just put NA. For the mailing address of the petitioner, you have to put it in this box. You can leave blank for the in care of name, that's fine. So let's just put a random address here. Alright, is your current mailing address the same as your physical address? Yes. If it's not, then you will be asked to provide your other address here in this part. Alright, so since we're answering yes, we're gonna have to move forward to physical address number 2. Okay, so think about the last address you have in the last 5 years. If you lived within the states or outside the states, but if you didn't, you can just also leave blank for this part. But if you did, you have to fill out this part, the physical address number 2. Alright, so moving forward, the employment history. Alright, so the US petitioner is currently employed. You're gonna have to put his current employer here and the address, and then the occupation, and also the employment start date and employment end date. So let's just put a random name here. For the occupation, he is a technician, and the employment start date, they're back in January 1st, 2000, since 2015, and then he is still currently employed in the same company. You can just type in present, or if he already quit recently, then you just put the date blank. But if you have a different employer in the last 5 years, then you need to fill out this box. Alright, so for my case, for example, my petitioner only worked in one company since 2015, so he doesn't need to fill out this part. Now we have to move on, or in part 1, information about you, or 20A, employment start date, we can just leave this blank because it's still a continuation for this one. Okay, this is the petitioner's information, so we need to fill out this one correctly. And then the date of birth, and single. But if he's married, you can tick the box, divorced, widowed. Okay, the city of birth, he was born in Midway, and then the state is in Texas, and the country of birth is USA. Information about your parents. This is the U.S. petitioner's parents information. So let's put the mom first, family name of the mother. Alright, let's go to parents. Parent number 2 information. This would be the dad. Alright, let's go to number 37. Have you ever been previously married? If you have, then click yes, and then if you haven't been, then just tick the box for no. So if you answer yes, you will be asked what is the name of your previous spouse, so you're gonna have to fill out this area. But if you answer no, you can just skip this area and move on to the next question. Also, if you want to leave blank, that's fine. If you want to put NA or none, that's fine as well. So next question is your citizenship information. So this is the U.S. citizen, the U.S. petitioner's information still, and your petitioner was born in the United States, so tick the box. And then if he is naturalized or his parents are U.S. citizen, then there's also options for that. So there's also a question here for naturalized citizens for number 41. Then you can just answer yes or no for that. And then it's also connected to this part. Alright, next. Additional information. Have you ever filed Form I-129F for any other beneficiary? So this basically asks if did you file an I-129F before from your previous partner, for example. If you haven't, then just tick the box no. If yes, then if you answer yes, then you'll be asked to put the information here. Okay, so let's go. But if you answered no, you can just put NA to each box. That is fine. Number 48. Do you have any children under 18 years of age? If you do, you just tick yes. If you have not, no. So for my case, no. And then you can just skip this one or put NA, that's fine. Provide all the U.S. states and foreign countries in which you have resided since your 18th birthday. So if you lived in a different state before, you put the state here and the country. But if you stayed in the same state, then you can just leave blank or put NA to this one. Now, so part 2, information about your beneficiary. Alright, so family name. Okay, so this is the information about the beneficiary. Her last name, her given name, and her middle name. Her alien number, she doesn't have that yet, so just put NA. Social security number, just put NA. And then date of birth, gender, marital status, single, and if she is married, divorced, widowed, you can choose, you have the boxes to choose from. And then her city of birth, country of birth, and country of citizenship. If she used other names, you can put that information in this part, but if she doesn't have, just put NA. Okay, next part, information about your beneficiary. So this is the address of the beneficiary in her home country. So you can leave this blank, and then proceed with the street number. Beneficiary, 11th Street Road, Talisay City, Negros Occidental, 6101, Philippines. So this is just a sample information that we put here for the beneficiary, and you can just put NA to this part if she doesn't have that. Next here is beneficiary's address history. Okay, so provide your beneficiary's physical address for the last 5 years, whether inside or outside the United States. Provide your beneficiary's current address if it's different from the mailing address. Alright, so if she lives in the same address, then you can just leave it blank, or you don't have to do anything to this part. If your beneficiary's address are still like the same her whole life, then you can just leave this blank. But if she did live in a different area or different part of the Philippines, for example, then you have an option for that here to put on this part. But then if she has, if she lives one place or another for the last 5 years, then she's gonna need to put her other information on the last part, and I'm gonna show you that later. On the last part of this form. Beneficiary's employment history. Alright. So in the last 5 years, think about your beneficiary's work. For example, she just worked there, the same company, for the last 5 years. And we're going to put, for example, and then her occupation. Okay, so employment start date, she started working there 2015, and employment end date, she still works. She is still working, so you just put present. But if she already quit, same thing, you're gonna have to put the date to quit the job. So for this information here, if she worked for like 2 or 3 companies and for the last 5 years, then she's gonna have to put the information on this side. And then there's also the last part of this form, the additional information. We're gonna have to check on that later. Next is information about your beneficiary's parents. So let's just start with the mother of the beneficiary. Alright, so this is the father's information of the beneficiary. And let's just say, for example, one of the beneficiary's parents has already passed away. So you can just put the name, the family name, given name, and middle name, and a birthday. And then on this part, number 32, 33, and 33 point B, just put deceased. Next question is other information about your beneficiary. Has your beneficiary ever been previously married? So for our case, no. But if she has, then you can just put yes, and then you put the information here for the previous spouse. So let's just say no, and then we're going to move on to number 37. Has your beneficiary ever been in the US? For our case, no. If she has been, then just tick yes, and then you have to provide the I-94 information and the date of your arrival in the US, for example. But since in our case, no, I've never been to the US, then just tick no and leave this one blank. So this is still the continuation for number 38. Now let's move to number 39. Does your beneficiary have any children? For our case, no. But if she does, then you're gonna have to put the information of your beneficiary's children on this part right here. So let's just say no, and we're gonna have to leave this blank, or you can also put NA like I said. Same thing here. Alright. Now here is the next question. Address in the United States where your beneficiary intends to live. So this is a very important one. This should be the address of the US petitioner because she and him are both going to live together. So we're going to have to put the US petitioner's address again. Next one is the beneficiary's physical address abroad. This is still the same address what you fill out on her mailing address. So the same thing. Alright. Beneficiary's name and address in his or her native alphabet. Of that, we can just put NA in each box. Next question, part 2, information about your beneficiary. Is your fiancé related to you? So my answer is no. And this question right here, not applicable. Beneficiary is my spouse, so that is only applicable for like if they are both married. But since we are K1, we're gonna have to click on or tick the box for no, and you have to put an A for this one because since we are both not related, we don't need to fill out this number. Alright, number 53 is one of the most important requirements for K1 visa. So have you and your fiancé met in person during the 2 years immediately before filing this petition? So yes, if you have, it's important that you and your fiancé have met before you file this petition. But if you haven't, then I'm sure that you're gonna get an RFE for this one or request for evidence. Okay, so for number 53, if you answered yes, you will need to put an explanation, just a short explanation about your in-person meeting with your fiancé. So let's just say I met my fiancé Sam in the Philippines in July 2022 and met her whole family and has asked her to marry me, stay there for 1 month. If you want to add more explanation, you can use the last page of this form. So this explanation will be from the US petitioner. Number 55, INB information. Did you meet your beneficiary through the services of an INB? No, because me and my fiance, we both met in an online dating app, so it doesn't involve anything about this. You just leave blank for this number and also for this part. Next one is consular processing information. Your beneficiary will apply for a visa abroad at the US Embassy or US Consulate. So this is the city and the country where she or he will have her interview. Part 3, other information, criminal information. So I want you to read this carefully. Note, these criminal information questions must be answered even if your records were sealed, cleared, or if anyone, including a judge, law enforcement officer, or attorney, told you that you no longer have a record. If you need extra space, you can use Part 8. So read carefully, and this only applies to the petitioner, so he or she knows the answer for that. So tick yes or no. And for our case, my petitioner has never been subjected to a temporary restraining order, so no. Never been arrested, no, and so on and so forth. So just answer and read this carefully because the US CIS is doing a security investigation or criminal background check. So we'll put an answer no, no, and that's it. So next is multiple filer waiver request information. For this one, there's a lot of people who are confused about this, but our answer here, this box, not applicable. beneficiary is my spouse, or I am not a multiple filer. So this is basically our answer for this question. Next one is Part 4, biographic information. This is for the petitioner. All right. Okay. Next question is petitioner's statement, contact information, declaration, certification, and signature. This is the petitioner's. Next one is Part 5, petitioner's statement, contact information, declaration, certification, and signature. So he's going to have to tick the box. I can read and understand English, and I have read and understand every questions and instructions in this petition in my answer to every question. And then he's going to put his telephone number, mobile number, and email address. The next one is petitioner's signature. This is the most important part of the form because there's a lot of people who miss this box and they ended up having or getting an RFE. Don't forget to sign this when you print it later on and put the date of the signature as well. And you can handwrite it, that's fine. So don't forget this part of the form. Number 6, Part 6, interpreters, contact information. So if you do have an interpreter, if you are speaking in a different language and you need an interpreter for everything, just put her or his information here. But if you don't have, just put NA. As well, Part 7, prepare. If you have an agency or a lawyer, you're going to have to put the information here, but we don't have that because we did this by ourselves, so you just put NA or just leave blank for this whole thing. And the same here as well. So Part 8, additional information. This is what I said earlier, that if you want to add more information for your employment history, if you want to add more address history for the petitioner, for example, or family or children, or explanation also on how you and your fiancé met, this is the right place to put all the explanation. So put the page number, part number, and item number, and that's it. Alright, so if you are done filling out the additional information, I would suggest to go back from page 1 and read everything again from part 1 to the last part. Make sure you didn't miss anything. You don't want to delay the process. Make sure that all the information that you put there are correct, and you also didn't miss anything, each boxes, because it could give us an RFE or request for evidence, and that happens a lot to a lot of people. And if you're good to go, you can go ahead and print it and sign it, and don't forget to put the date, and then compile it with your other requirements. So I'm going to make a separate video for compiling our requirements and sending the packet, the I-129F packet, to USCIS address. Alright, so this is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. Good luck on your petition process, and you will be approved soon.